Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Two-Way Women Wednesday, the only podcast on the interwebs interviewing and highlighting what ladies within the two-way community are doing each and every week. You can catch the program every Wednesday at 8 p.m. We are extremely proud and grateful to have the chance to speak with these ladies and hear their stories, hear what they're doing for the fight for two-way. And when you get to hear their stories, when you get to hear what they're doing for their fight, what their cause is, when you hear about their activism and their advocacy, it should make you want to do more, because I guarantee these ladies are two-ayer than you. With all that being said, if you're a lady within the two-way community and Gunsnbbq has not reached out to you yet, please email him at gunsnbbq@gmail.com if you'd like to be on the show. You can also reach him on Instagram or Facebook. Links are down in the description to those social medias as well.
Our founder of DC Project, Diana Muller, she was inspired by one lady. And now Di inspires the 50 of us from our 50 states. And you might be the one who's going to inspire the next 50 women from another 50 states.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Two-Way Women Wednesday. This is episode number 15, I believe it is, if I remember correctly. I should have checked this before I said that, but might be 16. Anyways, if you're that worried about it, look at the title. I'll have the number right next to everything that is there. But today we have Tara with, I'm pretty sure I just asked this, and I'm pretty sure you said it's Tara, and I just said Tara.
No, it's Tara.
So sorry. Oh, is it Tara? All right, great.
Yeah.
So, but that's Tara with How I Carry. Amazing lady. Found her over on the Instagrams. Really, really excited about this interview. I could be really rambly right now like I normally am, but Tara, how are you, ma'am? Please tell the folks what it is that you do and what you're doing in Two-Way.
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. Well, I guess it all started with me about 4 years ago. I've actually grew up around guns, like a lot of people say. My dad wasn't my FFL. Bought my first gun early in my 20s, but always had been around guns, shotguns. Didn't really give them much thought. Then one day, for some reason, I went to a gun show with my husband and kind of fell back into everything. We went to the shooting range. I ended up buying a Glock 43 and starting my concealed carry journey on my own. Had no idea about anything. All I knew about was the little floppy neoprene holsters at the discount store. So the more I started to research, the more I realized how much there was to learn and how many people just really didn't know what was available out there. And so I kind of joined Instagram and I started called myself How I Carry, because I was just kind of trying to share how I carry and trying to learn from other people. And from there, it just grew, kind of fell into 2A advocacy, and actually had trouble finding a class or instruction in my area. I live in a rural area. So ended up that my husband and I became instructors. So now we own a firearms training business, and still kind of keep posting my concealed carry journey and how I'm involved with the shooting sports and 2A advocacy on Instagram.
That's awesome. So you said that you were around them growing up and whatnot. What age would you say that you were first introduced to firearms? Or is it just something that they were just always there? It wasn't ever like, hey, here's these are...
Yeah, they were just always kind of around. One of the earliest things I remember is running around with my little Daisy BB gun that I think it was actually my brother's before it was handed down to me. And I just put so many BBs through that thing. And I remember my dad, he was showing off his guns. We had the guns on the wall and the little gun rack. And I said, well, Dad, which one is mine? And he said I was like 4 or 5. And he said, well, oh, this Marlin 22. So that was my first gun. I was like 4 or 5 years old. Yeah. And so he taught me how to shoot that. So it's just something I kind of took for granted. We would shoot skeet or go hunting or, things like that. So I always kind of was a little bit involved in them, just didn't really take a front seat in my life until I was an adult.
Yeah. So you said that what got you back into it was just going to a gun show with your husband.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one, how did that come about? Did he just say, hey, I'm going to a gun show one day, and you're like, I'll tag along? And once you were there, what kind of ignited that fire, or reignited that fire, I should say?
For me, it was he just asked me, he said there was a gun show and for some reason there was nothing going on. It was winter. I think it was like January or February. And I said, well, I'll go with you. I don't know why, but we never had really, he actually bought his first gun from my dad. And so that's, we just didn't really talk about it much. He would go shooting. I would stay home with the kids and he would go shooting after work with his friends. And I didn't care at all. I didn't want to go, but we just didn't really talk about guns that much. But I was like, well, I'll go with you. And we went, and it was actually the Glocks. I had never really seen or held a Glock before. And I always knew my dad back in the day when they first like started talking about them, and they were supposed to be invisible and plastic guns and all this stuff. Like you couldn't see them in the airport. So that was the kind of urban legend about them, you know? So, but I actually saw one. I know. And I saw one and I picked it up and I was like, you know, I kind of actually like this. Sorry, Dad. And we just started looking at all the different, all the different guns. And actually my cousin now is my FFL and he was there at the gun show. And so we started kind of looking around at what they had. And from there, I kind of got interested in like, hey, you know, I kind of would like to do this again. So we went from there to the actual indoor gun range, which was in that same town, and rented some pistols. And I was not as great as I thought I was going to be. I thought I knew what I was doing and just realized how much harder it is to shoot a handgun than it is like a rifle or a shotgun. Yeah. And just kind of the way that I am, I want to be good at everything. And I wanted to learn. I was like, I'm not going to give up and I'm just going to keep trying and learning and practicing. And probably it took me about a year before I even took my first lesson because I couldn't find any teachers. And once I had that first 1 hour lesson, I gained so much ground in 1 hour just with somebody correcting me and teaching me that just kind of lighted the flame in me that I wanted to go ahead and do that for other people.
Absolutely. That's great. So growing up, what was your primary exposure? I mean, did you get any handgun exposure growing up, or was it primarily just long guns?
Mostly it was long guns, but we did have handguns too. We had, I guess, the Taurus, the Beretta 92 clone, a Taurus PT 92.
Oh, okay.
PT 101, like the 40 and the 9mm. My dad had an old Ruger P85 handgun. Nice. I have that now. He gave it to me.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then when I was in college back in, the 90s, a long time ago, I got my first revolver. It was a little 38 Special snub nose revolver. Okay. That, I bought from my dad. I still actually just found the box and the paperwork and everything for that when I was cleaning out the closet, and I still have it. But yeah, so I did shoot it some, but I think, and I knew how to clean it, how to shoot it, and I could get the job done if I had to. But then once I really started trying to improve my marksmanship, I realized how little I really did know when it came to shooting a handgun.
So you brought up revolvers, and that is something that a lot of ladies, if they have little to no firearms experience, if they ask a guy, hey, you know, what do you think I should get? In typical mansplaining fashion, guys go, oh, get a revolver. I don't know where this has come about, because a lot of ladies that I've talked to, they're like, I've never shot a revolver. I don't like revolvers. One of those two things. Very few have actually said, oh yeah, I like revolvers or I enjoy them, anything like that. So what's your take? Do you prefer revolvers as far as just, you know, going out to the range and shooting, or is it, you know, do you prefer the semi-autos?
Yeah, if I'm just going to the range, I'm definitely not going to pick up my little 38 Special. It's just not fun to shoot. And I know, you know, some ladies like them and that's fine, but I don't like to see women limited to that. I've seen lots of people show up to our class with a revolver that someone told them that they had to get, like a little pink air weight or something that's really snappy, and then by the end of class they're just miserable. They're not we do like anywhere from 20 to 50 rounds minimum, probably closer to 50, and by the time they get done with those 50 rounds, they're just miserable, and it's just it's hard to manage, and sometimes it hurts their hands if they have arthritis or something like that. So I just think there's so many better options out there, and I think I hate to limit women. And I don't know why anyone would think that's the most that they can operate. But I mean, if you can drive a car, you can operate, you know, complex equipment, you could certainly handle a semi-automatic. And I just think there's so many better options out there.
Oh, and that's the thing. I mean, so many people look at firearms like they're just this super intricate piece of hardware. They're really not. Firearms are pretty simple tools when you really start to learn about them and take them apart. I mean, you know, I talk about computers with people, and they'll say, oh, computers are easy. I look at a computer, and I'm like, what the heck is going on here? I'm a technology illiterate idiot. I'll admit it. And likewise, there's people that are out there that are just firearms illiterate. They don't realize how simple they are. And so I equate my experience with computers the same way. But yeah, like you said, there's no reason to limit women or anybody really to just one particular thing. I mean, there is such a cornucopia of firearms out there now to select from. It's amazing. So those ladies that do come to your guys' trainings, are you able to offer them handgun to shoot ever? Like, hey, notice you might be having some issues with that. Maybe you want to try this. This is what I carry. Just to give them some variety.
Yes. Yeah, we always make sure we have several different models and calibers available for them to try. Lots of people, if it's their first time shooting, will let them start with a 22 because we've had them show up with something like, a 357 Magnum or something crazy that you definitely you don't want to take your first shots with that. So we always try to read the person and make sure we give them something that kind of suits their capabilities that they're going to be comfortable shooting. We want it to be a pleasant experience for them. And sometimes if they have the wrong gun for them, it's not going to be a good experience for them.
So you said both your husband and you are instructors. When you are the classes tailored normally like, hey, we're doing men's classes this day and females classes this day, or is it intergender?
It's always been a mix. We've had some requests to do a women's only, and we probably have more than half women in the classes, but I think,
oh, wow.
Most of our classes do have like both men and women.
So I haven't really gotten to talk to anybody who, excuse me, that came out of nowhere. I've never gotten to talk to anybody who's actually a trainer and is actually who's mentioned that, oh yeah, I've got a co-trainer with me who is the opposite sex. Now, especially with the blended classes like you guys have you noticed anything where perhaps the males respond more to your husband or maybe more to you even, and vice versa, the females more to you or more to your husband?
We really haven't seen that too much. My husband is just very mild-mannered, very soft-spoken, and he's a big guy, but he's really not intimidating. And usually by the time we get to the range, I do most of the speaking during the class, and when we get to the range, he does a lot of the hands-on and a lot of the hands-on demonstrations and stuff. And we really just haven't had any problem with that at all. They seem to be comfortable working with him just fine. So.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So, any bad experiences that you've had as a trainer, anything where you're just like, oh, holy cow, that, was really scary, or I can't believe somebody said that, anything like that?
Probably one of the most frustrating ones was, and this happens a lot, is we'll have people who learned to shoot a long time ago, and this person was ex-military, and well, I'm going to do it my way. And I was like, well, why are you here? And he was there with his wife, and she actually was listening and trying to do what we told her to do. And when we got to the range, she actually shot better than he did because she was teachable and he was not. And it was the kind of thing like, oh, my gun is shooting low left, and so I'm going to have to hold high right. And, we were just kind of like, let's work on your grip. Let's do this. Let's do that. And he just absolutely was not receptive to it at all. But he went ahead and did his own thing. He did manage to get through the class and without really listening too much to what we said, but he had a great time. He had a great time. He gave us a great review. He had a good time. So I think that was the one time. I think the most frustrating for me was just not being able to get him to budge at all. But he didn't seem aware of any problems, so he was happy. And I think as far as like being anything really scary in class, I think the closest call we had was a lady was shooting a little, it was a 38 special, her revolver, and she was shooting hand loads. And and we usually have two people shooting at a time. So my husband's with one and I'm with the other, and we're just like right on top of them. And it just made kind of like a poof when she went to shoot. And I just saw like the smoke come out of it. And so immediately I was, put the gun down, and we took it and looked at it, and it was a squib stuck in the barrel. And so that was kind of scary. And I was glad that we were able to hear it and pick up on it, even in spite of everything that was going on. So,
Definitely.
But it was interesting too. So I took pictures and all that, but it was interesting to see.
So, with that gentleman that, was ex-military and was just kind of, I don't want to say unteachable, but wouldn't allow himself to be taught. Because I feel like everybody's teachable. You just got to reach him in some way. And you guys just didn't have enough time with that guy, obviously. Have you, what were the different approaches that you guys used? Where obviously you weren't like, hey, stupid, do this. But, well, heck, maybe that would have worked. You would have been like, oh, sorry, drill sergeant. But no, did you try a couple different ways and it just wasn't responding? And then were you able to, take that and carry it on to future classes where, okay, we got somebody that's like this. Here's how we might handle it in the future?
Yes. That was actually one of our first classes, and I really don't think it would happen now because we didn't have the confidence, I think, to kind of, say, hey, just do me a favor and just try it my way. And that's what I think I would do is be like, hey, let's do something. Let's try it your way. And then we'll try it this way. And we'll just see which one, feels more comfortable and, or show me that this works better, try it my way and prove that your way is better or something. But I think that time, we just didn't feel comfortable speaking up like we would now. Didn't want to put anybody off or anything. But then I think if I could do it all over again, I would totally do it differently. It was definitely a learning experience. Every class is a learning experience. We always
absolutely
learn something. Yeah.
So you said that was like early on. Was that like a few classes in, a couple months in? Well, how many classes are you doing every month? Also, if you don't mind my asking.
Yeah, right now we're in just kind of a small area, so we don't have like a lot of people to pull from. So we're doing like 1 to 2 a month right now.
Oh, okay.
We both still have our day jobs and everything too. So so we try to offer at least 1 or 2 a month.
Nice. So, so back to the original question. How far in would you guys say you were?
I think it may have been even our second class.
Oh wow, yeah, that'd be tough. I mean,
yeah.
So no, I don't want you thinking like, oh, he's just going to talk about bad stuff. What a jerk. No. So what would you say is your most rewarding experience as a trainer so far?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Oh, I'm sorry. What would you say is your most rewarding experience as a trainer so far?
That's easy. We had a young lady, we had a class it was an area dental office, and it was, I think, 8 ladies that came all together.
Oh, wow.
And one of them was about in tears at the beginning of the class because she was just terrified. She just had a fear of guns, and she didn't want to even pick it up to even like the dummy guns, even to practice with in the classroom. And we just, tried to just take it really slow. And we started out with the rubber prop guns, and then we went on and we have a little laser cartridge that we use. And then we had the CO2 laser gun with a little bit of recoil and a little bit of noise. And we just kept working with her throughout the day. And then we got to the range, and she's one of the ladies. I was like, I think I want you to shoot this 22 first. And she actually, it's been over a year now, and she was like, this is fun. I really like this. This is great.
That's awesome.
So that it is always, we were just like on a high after that because we were so excited to see her actually realize, hey, this is fun and I like it. And actually it's been over a year now, and she just contacted us and wanted to know, hey, what gun did I shoot? I want to get one of those. So she's
that's great.
And she wants to go out and keep shooting. So that's probably one of the most rewarding.
That's terrific. Age variety. Now, I've talked to some trainers that said, they've had students as young as 5 and as old as 85. You said that you're in a rural area, kind of a small pool to choose from. What's that age range been like for you folks?
It really is a variety. We have a lot of people wanting to know if they can bring their teenagers, and we've had one gentleman brought his grandson that was 13, I think is the youngest that we've had. And as long as they can, be safe, we're happy to work with them. And then the oldest we've had was a private lesson. It was a retiree, a widow that her husband had passed away and left her. It was a revolver and then a little 380. Those were the two guns that he owned. And so she wanted to bring them up. We taught her how to, use both of them and to shoot both of them because she was, concerned being home by herself and being alone. And so we've had just the whole range of ages from, I'd say 13 to probably upper 70s is probably the oldest we've had.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of segue a little bit here to your website. I believe it's thisishhowicarry.com. Mm-hmm. So I was reading that, and one of the things that I noticed there is that, you were talking about how it just took one person to make that spark to get people involved. Who was that person for you?
I go back to my Girl and a Gun leader. It's not in my area. It's about an hour and a half away, but I happened to start up a conversation with someone at a gun show. And he said, hey, do you know they have a chapter of a Girl and a Gun at the range here, at the indoor range? And I was like, no, I didn't. And at the time I had no one to shoot with. It was just my husband and I pretty much. And we shot on our own property. So I wasn't used to shooting around other people. So I was really, really nervous. I think I was shaking. And so I went to this Girl and a Gun, and there was a lady named Sue Brzozowski. I probably butchered that, but she's a retired lady, and she just has a passion for the shooting sports and for teaching women how to shoot. And the first time I walked in, she was talking about the shooting competition that they had at the range. And I had always been afraid to do it. And so I was like, well, okay, this is a sign I need to do it. Well, the next time I went back, she was talking about the Steel Challenge competition that was starting up. And she was like, I'm going if somebody wants to go. And I was like, okay, I'm going. And I was so nervous to go. I really was like terrified, like my legs would shake just trying, because I was so nervous shooting around. It's ridiculous to me to think about it now, but I was. But we went, and that just opened up a whole new world. I met so many different people. I learned about different shooting competitions out there, met other 2A advocates, other instructors. It led to me being an instructor, actually. And it just probably kept my journey going. And, really just that one woman who has no idea. I was just thinking I need to write her a letter or send her a card or something, that she just really, just that one person taking the time to be like, hey, I'll go with you if you want to go. Just made all the difference for me.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
Now I want to be that person for other people if I have the chance.
Heck yeah. I say, 'cause one of the things I noticed on there, you have this diagram, and up at the top, I think the person's in orange. Mm-hmm. It's just this one person, and below them is 3, then 5 and 7. And I think it goes down to like 13 people that it branches out to. Mm-hmm. But until you start seeing a diagram like that, you really don't know how many people that you could have possibly influenced just by being that one. Which is one of the reasons I started this program. I was looking at my analytics the one day, and I was like, man, it's like 99.7% male, and then it says 0% female. So that 0.3%, I don't know what it is. But I was like, women are supposed to be the fastest growing demographic in the firearms community. Yet you look at YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, I mean, wherever you look, you don't see that many content creators and whatnot for females. I mean, they're out there. I'm doing the show as often as I would like. As often as I would like would be doing one a week. We're hit and miss on that, but we're getting there. And it's a lot of searching, but I was like, I wanted to create a program where hopefully ladies will start tuning into it, and they can see, everyday women like yourself and go, oh man, if she can do it, I could probably do it, and, the more people that we have turning on cameras and making that spark and motivating and making just firearm ownership regular thing that we can talk about, and whether it's at the water cooler or anything, that's going to make leaps and bounds of progress for 2A. So that's my goal here, not to, go on my own little spiel there, but like I said, just seeing that diagram, it made me think of it. So there's a lot of good stuff on that website, though. Now, what's the name of your guys' shooting school?
It's Gen 2 Training, LLC.
Okay. I say, because I wasn't sure if it's actually, this is how I carry for the school or whatnot. And that, do you push your social media, your Instagram and the How I Carry website to students so they can check it out?
It depends on if they're interested in concealed carry. We usually mention it. We were just saying we need to have a card or something to give people because we mainly teach just the basics of shooting. We don't get into a whole lot of the concealed carry stuff right now, and we're wanting to kind of develop that, but we haven't done that yet. But yeah, we would like to recommend that to people who are interested in concealed carry and learning more about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about any other social medias other than Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter?
Yep. I pretty much mirror most of my Instagram to Facebook
Oh,
now,
okay.
but and I share a lot of, articles and things I find about, real life incidents and things like that to kind of add a little bit something different to it. And I do have a YouTube, but I'm pretty inactive on it. So, but I keep thinking I'm going to do video reviews and stuff, but it's been hard to find time to do it. But I do have the channel set up kind of as a placeholder. And I recently started about a year ago, just posting random videos, random reel videos actually from Instagram, putting them on TikTok. And that has grown to
Nice.
Almost 21,000 followers on there.
Wow. That's awesome.
So I have, TikTok is an interesting place, but I'm just, it's nice to be able to reach different people there than I normally would. So we're going to stick with that too, I think.
Nice. Yeah. You said YouTube. I didn't even realize you had a YouTube. I think that's one of the problems with Instagram. They only give you like so much space to put a bio. So getting links and things like that in is tough. I probably should have paid attention like to the bottom of your website more or something. Like on the website, is everything listed there for your different links?
I'm pretty sure TikTok's not on there. YouTube may not be on there. I think I may have shared one YouTube video on there, but
I will definitely have to search that out.
It's nothing much right now, but yeah, I definitely need to update my website and put some of that information out there. And that is my goal to kind of get more active on YouTube because I think we need a lot of people to give honest reviews and not just like influencers, I guess, like to really real life reviews.
Yeah. Yep. So this will premiere on YouTube on April 27th. So for the people that are watching, that gives them plenty of time to find out all this YouTube information and I already know the Instagram, but Facebook, all the social medias that she's on, I will have down in the description below. So everybody will be able to go there, click it, make sure you subscribe, follow, like all that good stuff. That way, she grows and, yeah. So yeah, I'll definitely bother you after this for all that information if we can. So how long have you been a trainer now?
It's actually 2 years now, so not too long.
Oh, still, that's 2 years longer than most. So, what were you thinking when you decided to get into it? Were you like, I can't believe I'm doing this, or were you super excited? Like, what took me so long?
I was really excited, but also it's a big responsibility, and so it's. Sometimes I think about it and it's just really like these people learning safety and, that's all on me to teach them properly and to make sure they take it home with them and that they're doing things the way they're supposed to be doing. And I also want just for to plant a seed to where this is only the beginning for them to where they're going to keep shooting and they're going to want to keep enjoying the shooting sports and maybe tell their friends and bring their friends back so we can teach them too. So it's a big responsibility, but we were super, super excited to do it. And we definitely stay in our lane and, we don't, teach more than what we should be teaching, but it's just so much fun. We are always just really so excited after we finish a class and get to see the students just succeed. It just really, I can't think of any better feeling than that.
That's awesome. How many repeat students do you typically get?
Right now we've had just a few people who want to just come back and go through the class again, just like as
Yeah.
a refresher. But we have gotten so much word of mouth, just one class. If they'll just share it on their Facebook page or something, then especially the women, because it's nice for the other, like their female friends to see, hey, they did this. It's not that weird. And, oh, she's a female instructor. Okay, I can do this. And just to kind of normalize it a little bit and help get it out there. So word of mouth and people, sharing their experiences really helped us a lot.
Nice. Typical class size for you folks, because you said that you and your husband are usually having people shoot as a pair. That way, you're getting one-on-one instruction there. Yes, typical class size.
We usually shoot for about 8. That seems to be a good size for us.
Oh, nice.
I think, we have one coming up that's 13, so it's going to be a
Wow.
little bit different, but usually around 8 is pretty good. Yeah.
Now, do you just use a local range, or did you and your husband have a decent amount of property where you're like, we'll just make our own range here?
Yeah, we actually have a piece of property that we have been made it into kind of a short like pistol range just for class. So
Nice.
Yeah.
So probably a weird question to ask, but do you have children?
I do. 3. Yeah.
3.
Yep,
so are they old enough to be involved with what you guys are doing? How's the gun and 2A workout with the kids in the house?
It's actually pretty cool. They're all over 18.
Oh, okay.
They're all my 2 sons are in college right now, and then my daughter is a nurse, and she actually just bought her first concealed carry gun. She bought a Glock 43X, so she's going to come and take our class. But
Nice.
They all, I'm not going to say they're really eaten up with the shooting sports, but they can all shoot. They all enjoy shooting, and they're still my kids. I don't know if they really want to take a class from me or not, but I'm hoping that they all will. And but they all are gun owners, and they're all Second Amendment advocates, and
That's awesome.
And they have a lot of friends who are too through them, so that's pretty cool too.
That's great. And I won't lie. Like I told you before, I'm clinically blind, so obviously my vision is not the best. But I would have never guessed in a million years that you were old enough to have grown children, let alone 3 of them that are grown and off to college. Like, holy cow! So, yeah. So you said that 4 years ago is when you really got back into firearms. Were they? Well, you said that were the kids just then leaving for college and whatnot, or did you still have a couple in the coop?
Yeah, they were all at home at the time, and my youngest was in high school, and then my 2 oldest were taking classes like at the local community college. So they and actually I think my daughter was in high school when I kind of started carrying, and she was one of the reasons I started carrying, because she went through this whole stage where she was just really fearful and afraid of something being attacked in public, or afraid of active shooter situations. And even now, actually just last week, we were in a crowded area, and my oldest son kind of turned to me and he was like, "You're carrying, right?" I was like, "Yeah." So they kind of, at the time, they were kind of not really that interested in it, but they were both, I think they all felt better knowing that we carried. We had a situation where someone was following our youngest son when he was in high school last year, and he called us, and he was like, as soon as we rolled up, they were like, "Oh, okay, his parents are here. We know that, we're safe now." I was like, "Well, we're not, we're not the police." But,
Exactly.
But it does give them, I think, a sense of security to know that, we can protect them if we need to. And now they
Absolutely.
can protect themselves.
Yes. So now you said that, you still had guns, for quite a while, just didn't really get into the whole carry thing and really back into it, up until 4 years ago. So how young were the kids when you first introduced them to firearms?
Actually, my 2 sons, their first guns were given to them when they were born by my brother, their uncle. One of them had a 410 shotgun, and one of them had a little Cricket 22. And it probably, I want to say they were probably 6 years old before we ever even let them, try to shoot like the 22. The 410, I think my son was maybe 10 or 11, and we let him go out and shoot it. And he wasn't really a fan of the shotgun format, but once they were older, I think my youngest was, when he was a teenager, he was allowed to go hunting by himself because we could see that he, was safe, and he knew all the safety rules and all of that he could carry his own gun. I think when my husband would take them hunting when they were younger, we would have one gun. He would carry the gun. They would not get it until they were situated, ready wherever they were going to be hunting. They didn't get to hold it until it was time to actually use it. So just, for safety, but they're all very safe with guns. I would be, horrified if they would pick up a gun and not check it to make sure it's clear. They always do. And they're just, I think, being around them and taking the mystery out of them is really, there's something to be said for that, because I think kids that aren't around them are going to be more curious and
absolutely,
more likely to do something that they shouldn't.
Yep. Yeah. I've had friends come over and they'll ask to see something, and I be in the middle of something, so I'll tell one of the kids, "Hey, go grab this gun out of this spot. It's this one." And the friends will look at me cross-eyed, like, "Really, you're having your kid?" Yeah, my kid knows what they're doing. One, I know all my firearms are unloaded, yada yada yada. But my kid also knows how to check it, and whatnot, and then bring it to me safely. And they're the ones that are, I don't want to necessarily say anti-gun, but they're definitely not gun friendly. You're never going to wrap their head around that, just some education will go a long way. But the ones that are on the fence, they're really intrigued. They're like, really, you just taught them? Like, yeah, that's all it is. Just teach them, take the mystery out of it. When bad things happen, it's usually because little Timmy found, whatever gun in Dad's sock drawer, and he just saw this on a movie, and this is really cool, and he doesn't know, oh, I should check this, I should keep my finger off the trigger, keep it pointed in a safe direction, the whole 9 yards, and then something happens and really bad accidents happen, and it's unfortunate. So yeah, I definitely agree. Education goes a really, really long way, especially because your kids go to places as well. You don't know, if they go for a sleepover somewhere, you don't know what they're going to run into.
Yeah, I always say, even if you don't have guns in your home, you still need to teach your kids about guns, because you don't know what they're going to be exposed to.
Yeah. So, as a firearms owner with your children, any experiences where you're like, man, that was a really rewarding experience when that particular moment happened?
Probably just, this was Mother's Day a couple years ago. And it was my day, so we had to do what I wanted, and I wanted to go out to the range, and all of the kids went with me. I had just finished setting up a 10-22 for Steel Challenge for rimfire, and Burton had made the set of targets for me. We had those set up, and they all just kind of jumped right in and took off, and did a great job and had a good time, and it was just good family time, and just seeing them really enjoy it, and to be willing to try and to get out there. That's probably one of my best memories, shooting with all of them together. Yeah. Cause usually it's like one-on-one, but just to have them all out there and to see them all just enjoying shooting and learning and just being together, that was a good memory.
That's awesome. That wow. One day for me. My kids are all still pretty young. 10, 9, and 3. So got a little ways to go. But actually just had the 10-year-old and the 9-year-old out at the range this past Friday shooting their Rough Riders, and then I've got a Taurus, Rock Island's 1911 and 22 mag that I had them shoot for the first time, and they really enjoyed that, so it was a good time. So you mentioned two-way advocacy before. As far as the advocacy goes, anything in particular that you're doing there, other than just spreading the word and educating people? Are you beating on politicians' doors and whatnot, or anything like that?
Yeah. Oh, they know who I am. They definitely know who I am. definitely make those phone calls, send the emails, share with our friends, and like, hey, you need to make this call. And I get a lot of like, well, it's not going to make any difference, kind of, responses, and I'm like, well, what does it hurt? It's not going to hurt anything either. And the more of us speak out and stand together, I think it does make a difference. And so, yeah, a lot on a personal level. We're members. We have the Virginia Citizens Defense League, which I think is a wonderful organization in Virginia. They just are always, on top of what's going on. They show up for everything. They go, they have the lobby day every year. And the DC Project, which is an amazing group of women. I'm proud to be a part of that. They really are making changes, and they're getting out there and they're being visible. They just put out a great video last week that I shared that that we need to stand up and speak out, and they're really encouraging people to do that. So I think that's awesome.
So what do you do with DC Project exactly?
So, well, we just actually, in the Virginia chapter, we have, a Facebook group where we can all kind of stay in touch and see what's going on. I know they all got together and filmed a video with the BCDL one day, and I wasn't able to make it. But so we're just kind of like trying to come up with things that we can do. I know we've talked about even doing community service projects or things just to get our name out there in a positive way in the community. So just planning things like that.
One thing I always thought would be kind of cool. I don't know about down there in Virginia, but up here in PA, we have, big metal signs along the highway where it says highway litter control adopted by so-and-so group. How incredible would it be to see those signs just populated with two-way organizations?
Yep.
So people are going down the road.
That's actually one of the things they talked about doing one time. So I think, anything like that, I think would be great, just to, to show gun owners in a positive light, because we are, they're, wonderful people. They're some of the best people I have met are through the shooting sports.
Absolutely.
We all want the same things. We all want everyone to be safe and secure, and we just have different ideas about how to get there than people who may not appreciate guns as much.
Definitely. So on the two-way fronts, is there anything that you would like to change, where you're seeing things happen where you're like, man, you don't like it and you'd like to see it done a different way?
A lot in the 2A community, especially the online community, there's a lot of negativity. There's a lot of gatekeeping type behavior, infighting, just so willing to be a critic of other people and tear one another down, to not be accepting of one another. And I just feel like we need to be a cohesive group, which I don't know if that'll ever happen, but that's kind of what I, would love to see happen, because sometimes the only thing you're going to have in common with that other person is going to be that you both support the Second Amendment. You may have nothing else in common. And I know a few years ago, my husband and I went up to DC for the DC rally. And we heard, a bunch of different speakers from a bunch of different walks of life and a different perspective. We had only known, the people that we know in our area who are pretty much just like us, but to hear, people from, different communities and their perspective on the Second Amendment, people that came from countries that didn't have the Second Amendment, and they really appreciate, like Gabby Franco, like to hear her talk is, wonderful. And I can't think of who all was there. I think Maj Toure was there. It was wonderful hearing him speak. Kevin Dixon. It was just interesting hearing all these different people from different walks of life. And that is something I kind of try to promote through my platform, is that the Second Amendment is for everyone. I don't have to like you personally. You don't have to be just like me. But the Second Amendment is, the right to self-protection, the right to bear arms is for everyone, whether I agree with you or not.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You mentioned a couple of my favorite activists as well, with Maj and Kevin Dixie there, both great guys. And I can't help but notice, you said two ways for everyone. And say channeling a little bit of Tony Simon there as well.
Yep. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, absolutely. I need to try and get to one of his diversity shoots. Not to necessarily take part in it, but just experience the whole thing, because he's in, I think he's in PA now, but he still goes to New Jersey to do those. So just, to one meet him, maybe help out with the class. If he just needs, like, hey, can you help pass out pizza? Absolutely. Whatever the case is, because he is great. So with that being said, again, we'll segue off of, which actually that answer was phenomenal. That whole gatekeeper thing, man, talk about hitting a nail on the head. But what are some things that you see happening in the two-way community that you're like, man, that is awesome, that needs to keep happening?
I would say just the more women that I see out there now. When I got started, I had a hard time finding other women who were posting similar content that I was. And now just so many, and they're just coming out of the woodwork. Like every day I find a new account to follow, and they're just really putting a face to female gun owners and just advocating for more women to get involved. And I just think that's awesome, and I love seeing it happen. Like you said, that's one of the fastest growing groups of gun owners out there, so I think it's great to see that representation out there.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
So with the fight for our rights, would you say this is a great time to be a firearms owner or a terrible time?
That's a good question. I think it's a great time right now, and I think it's definitely a challenge. That's one reason I would try to get more people into the firearms and shooting sports, because a lot of times people don't worry about things that don't affect them. And I know when the bump stock ban happened, we were kind of new into shooting, or I was kind of getting involved into it again. And I just kind of told my husband, I don't care about bump stocks. And he was like, well, it's not always going to be the bump stock. This time was the bump stock, and which the bumps, still don't want one, but they're not going to stop at bump stocks. And the next thing, it's going to be one thing after that and one thing after that. And eventually it is going, to be something that affects you. And so I think, just getting people to, think about that. Even a lot of people that take my class are like, oh, I can't believe they're having constitutional carry in, Ohio now. And so that's kind of an opportunity to be like, well, actually the criminals were doing it anyway, and it hasn't been shown to increase, crime or anything like that. And just gives me an opportunity to talk about that. So that's pretty cool too.
And the funny thing is, I believe in a lot of states that do have constitutional carry now, they have actually seen a small rise in concealed carry permits because people that didn't carry before, because they just didn't go through the process to get that concealed carry and whatnot, they are finally able to carry without having to worry, in whatever manner that they please. Personally, I open carry almost all the time. But so they get to go and carry whatever manner they please, which in this case typically is concealed because that's what most people like to do today. But that's something they weren't able to do before without a permit. But then they go, oh man, I love doing this. I love having that sense of security. But now I'm going to, you used Ohio, for example, but now I'm going to go to Pennsylvania, or I'm going to go to Indiana, or, wherever. Well, they can't carry there because they don't have a concealed carry, which, I mean, you still have to worry about reciprocity and whatnot. But, so in a lot of instances, states that end up getting constitutional carry end up seeing a small rise in carry permits. So they always argue that, we're going to lose all this revenue from carry permits, which, one, it's not supposed to be about the revenue you guys are going to generate. Right. But, I digress. So yeah. I think we've only got about 10 minutes left here. So I told you I'm going to bombard you with a few questions here at the end, just, general things that people are curious about, because, people are curious. So, if you had to make a top 5 guns list, for yourself, whether it's dream guns, just whatever your favorite 5 guns are, what would they be?
Probably a Henry Golden Boy.
Nice.
I just love them. And
starting out with a lever action. All right. I like it.
Yep. That would definitely be one of them. I would have to say my CZ Shadow too. I love that gun. That would definitely be in my top 5. Gosh. Probably a Benelli M3.
Oh,
Just 'cause
man.
Trying to cover all the bases here. And it's got to be a Colt 1911. That's got to be in there.
All right, let's say you're chasing after my heart now. What lever actions? I mean, the CZ Shadow. I've gotten to handle them, never got to shoot one, so I can't speak too much of that. But I really want a Benelli M3, and I have a decent little collection of 1911s at this point. That's my EDC. So.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still, we just took my 1911 out last week and shot it. And every time I shoot it, I'm like, I forget how much I love this gun. They're just so much fun to shoot.
Yep. What kind of 1911?
It's a Springfield MC operator.
Okay, nice. I always want to get a Springfield. I can't find one used after what they did. I was like, I guess I choose morals for some things, and that's one of those ones. And I'm like, crap. But every time I see them roll out a new 1911 or something, I'm like, I really want that.
Yeah, they had the Springfield Emissary. I just got to see that one last week, and it's really pretty. Yeah, mine was actually used by MC Operator. We had rented one at the range, and I just really liked it. And I had said something to the guy at the counter when we were leaving. He said, well, guess what? Somebody just brought in used. So
it went home with me.
Yeah.
Nice. So one more for that list.
I would have to say this has been on my list for a long time, and I have not purchased it. It would be an Arsenal AK-47.
Oh, nice. All right. There's actually a local shop here. Just got one of those in.
Oh, really?
Just a few days ago. Yeah.
Yeah. I got to shoot one of those one time. I just really liked it, and I've just kind of always I just haven't quit thinking about it. So I would like to have one of those too.
That's awesome. So when you started carrying, did that change your wardrobe in any way?
Yes. In the beginning, I had a lot of more fitted, I guess it was just kind of the style at the time, like the more fitted t-shirts and things. And I kind of got away from that. And you can still wear things that, you don't have to wear a tent. Like, the more that I learned, the more I realized at first I was buying these big blousy tops and sweaters and things like that. And now I can pretty much dress, normally, just you can't wear anything. And I never have been like anybody to wear skin tight clothes anyway. So it's not really been an issue for me. I definitely don't wear dresses as much either, but just yesterday for Easter, I carried in a dress and it was fine. So
nice.
I think the more, there's so many options out there. You really can just, especially for women, you can find just about something to go with just about anything.
Yeah, I didn't realize how many options there was for women until I started doing these interviews. One of the guests started running through. She must have mentioned 7 or 8 different garments. I was like, that's insane. And when I say garments, I mean we're talking like yoga pants and like a thigh garter holster and a holster that attaches to your bra and I'm just touching a few of them. I'm just there's so many. I was like, that's insane. I had no idea there's all these options. So, out of those options, what's your preferred carry method?
Probably the Filster Enigma. It's kind of like a chassis where you can actually attach your holster to it, and it attaches to your body and not to your clothes. And so you can wear pretty much anything: skirts, leggings, shorts, whatever, sweats. And so I like that because it's just kind of doesn't matter what outfit I'm wearing. I don't have to think about it. I can just put it on and it's been a game changer for me. It's been what I was looking for the whole time. It just came out about a year ago, a little bit more than that. But I wish that had been around when I started carrying.
That's awesome. Yeah. So we talked about some advocates and activists just a little bit ago. Who are some advocates and activists that you look up to yourself?
Gosh, there are so many. Definitely Diane Mueller from the the DC Project. More or less.
Yeah.
I was thinking Diane Mueller 3-Gun.
Yep.
Yeah, she's been, she's amazing. Carrie Sloan from We the Female. She is a huge advocate for victims of domestic violence and arming the women and educating the women. And she's also an instructor now too. So I really admire her. and Rhonda Mary, she's great. She
Yes.
does a lot of, is putting so much good information out there now, especially for people who are new to firearms and things. And I really like her.
She is awesome.
Yeah. And
Say,
then just like a lot of the ones from the that I mentioned from the 2A rally, just Gabby Franco is amazing.
she
Like
is.
Mona Sheree, Kevin Dixon, Tony Simon, all those. They're just really bringing a different group into the 2A community, and I just think it's great to see. A Better Way 2A, that's another group that really promotes diversity in the 2A community, and I really admire what they do also.
Yeah. Man, that's a great list too. My goodness. And people that are listening, if you haven't heard of some of those people, go look them up because that was a heck of a list. That's awesome. Did you hear that they're supposed to? I've heard grumblings about this. I don't know if it's set in stone yet or not, but I heard September 17th this year, there's might be a national rally at DC again.
Oh, no, I haven't heard about that.
Yeah, I just heard it's this past Thursday, I think it was. So, like I said, I haven't heard if it's actually set in stone yet or not, but that is the rumor mill. So, perhaps something that you want to dig into. Maybe you can find out who's doing it and be like, hey, I'm in Virginia. Let me be a speaker. So we went over your most rewarding and experiences as a trainer, so I don't have to ask that question. If you had somebody come to you and say, hey, what should I get as my first gun? Now we covered, hey, there's a rainbow out there. Don't limit yourself. But if somebody did say, hey, I don't have the option to really go and try these out. I'm just going to have to get one and hope it's the best. What would you recommend as a best all around? Hey, I hope this works for you.
That actually just happened to me yesterday. Someone,
oh wow,
they were like, kind of like, I'm on a tight budget. I need, want to get my first carry gun, and I recommended a Glock to them just because they're simple. It's easy to find the accessories for it. They have, not everybody likes Glocks, and I understand that. That's fine, but I just think for a good all around choice, I would look at a Glock 19 if you want a larger gun, or a Glock 43 if you want something really small, just because they're so easy to break them down. If you need to take them apart and clean them, they're easy to find holsters for, easy to find aftermarket parts for, and that would probably be my recommendation.
Yeah. That's always a good recommendation. I mean, when you look at it, you see some of these guns where they're like, oh, we're making this chassis system now, so it's drop in, drop out. Mm-hmm. I mean, in a sense, Glock's almost a chassis system. I mean, so many mags interswap between different models. You can, say you got a holster for a Glock 17. Well, how many other Glocks are going to fit in that? They might be a little bit short in the holster, which isn't a big deal. So, I mean, that is a really nice touch. I admittedly, I am not a Glock fan, but when you think about some of those aspects, it's definitely a bonus.
Yeah.
So, well, I think we're just about at the end of the hour here. So, one, I want to thank you for doing this. This has been phenomenal. I always say that to all my guests, but it really has. One, I always feel just so it just completely slipped my mind. There we go, folks. People like to bust on me because I have a brain fart like every episode, and it took until the very last closing minutes for it to happen. But I always just feel so lucky that you ladies take the time to talk to me because, I mean, you're all incredibly busy. Like you said, you have a day job, plus you're doing your training stuff. You got your social media that you're working on. There's so much that you all do. So the fact that you take the time to sit here and talk to me for an hour is just phenomenal. So I cannot thank you enough. And with that, I am going to turn it over to you again. You have us as long as you want to plug anything that you want. And if there was, the last question here is if there's anything that you would give to people as a piece of advice, advice, what would it be? So, like I said, you got the floor. If you could answer that question, and anything you want to plug, it's yours.
Okay. My one piece of advice would be to never stop learning. Always be open to learning new things and be willing to change your mind. I've changed my mind so many times since I started this, and I think there's nothing wrong in changing your mind. Things evolve, we learn, and so be willing to learn, be willing to change. And but thank you so much for having me on here today. And I'll tell you, if you want to find me, you can find me on Instagram under How I Carry. I'm on TikTok, How I Carry. YouTube, you can search How I Carry and find me. My website is itshowicarry.com. And I think that's all I have to say, but thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to roll the outro. If you want to stick around and talk for a few minutes, that's cool. If you got to jet out of here, I completely understand. But I'll roll the outro, and we'll shut it down right after that. We'd also like to thank our friend and channel sponsor, Tamarack Armory. Tamarack Armory has been my LGS. That's right, folks. My local gun shop for nearly 10 years now. And it's for good reason. They have great people, great prices, and great service. You can put that in whatever order you wish, but to me, the best thing about them is the people and the service that they provide, and the prices are just a bonus. So, if there's something that you're looking for and you cannot find, perhaps your local gun shop will not order it in for you, contact Tamarack Armory today. Go to tamarackarmory.com. You can look up the Tamarack Armory Facebook page, or just send them an email. All those were linked at the beginning of this message. Also, you could go over to Google and Google Tamarack Armory and look up their phone number and give them a call. When you do this, whatever way you correspond with them, please let them know John, Guns and BBQ, or the Blind Guy sent you. They'll know who you're talking about. We'd like to take this time to thank our friend and channel sponsor, owlandanchor.com. Owlandanchor.com has stickers, decals, flags, patches, custom embroidery, and so much more. But to tell you more, here's Eric, the Slim Cowboy.
Say hi, Cooper. I'm just going to go with it because he keeps licking me. Anyway, free shipping. Free shipping on orders over $35, so definitely go check that out. And thirdly, I want to say that if you're interested in custom patches, I want to remind everybody that our order minimum is 1 patch. So it doesn't matter if you want 1 or 1,000 patches, we can hook you up. Definitely send us an email over at info@owlandanchor.com.
We would like to thank our friend and channel sponsor, GearWebsites.com. GearWebsites.com is your home for the greatest two-way swag. But instead of me telling you, take it from Gun Websites himself.
Designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.